Welcome back to Triple Alpha Sports Talk. I'm Josh. That's Bryce, and that's Roy right over there. Football season's over with. We had the Super Bowl the other night. I did take the Chiefs. Bryce and Roy did take the Niners. So, Roy, why'd you take the Niners, and what'd you get from the game?
I took the Niners because I really thought their defense would be a lot better, or would be better than what overall than Kansas City. I thought they could be able to stop Kansas City more than what Kansas City could stop San Francisco, which I felt like it happened most of the first half. I thought, congrats Kansas City, but I thought San Francisco really shot themselves early on. You know, that fumble by McCaffrey on the first row, they were just moving the ball with no problems. And that fumble right there, I think it was be a 10-0 game early on. If that fumble didn't happen, some other things late in the first half happened in San Francisco, that just killed them and killed some of their drives. But they were able to move the ball. I thought McCaffrey, in my opinion, again, is the best player in the NFL, in my opinion. He just did everything. Receiving and running the ball. I thought the defense for both teams was way better than I thought that was going to be. I predicted it'd be a shootout. Not really a shootout. I thought I took the over, which I missed it by half a point. But it's overtime. But I thought it would really be about a 35-31 ball game. But both defenses really, did not allow the either team's offense to really move the ball. Kansas City just had made some plays at the end. I really blame San Francisco's defense late. I hate that. I love cover, your prevent defense, but when you're putting pressure on Mahomes all game and he was making mistakes, and you just let him in the last quarter basically just do what he wanted because you didn't put any pressure on him. And the difference was Kansas City was putting pressure on Brock Purdy, and that's what the difference was.
Yeah. How about you, Bryce? Why did you think that the Chiefs pulled this one out?
I think that it looked like to me that the 49ers lost the game. I thought, if you were watching it, it didn't seem like the Chiefs were even close to as good as a team as what the 49ers were, in my opinion. The 49ers just shot themselves in the foot the entire game. The fumble that Roy talked about, they had several penalties that they'd start off every drive, it seemed like, with a 1st and 20, 1st and 15. And that's tough to do, especially whenever you have a quarterback who's pretty new. And we saw some of the pressure on Brock Purdy being a young quarterback like that. There was wide open throws that were just low. He didn't make a ton of huge mistakes, but he definitely missed a lot of key moments where he could have picked up first downs, and he just didn't because, Kansas City brought pressure, but he wasn't contested on a lot of those throws that were just incomplete passes. And I thought both the defenses played great in this game. It was a battle of the defenses. I thought towards the end, though, the thing that Roy said about pressures is Joey Bosa was getting held.
Nick
Bosa.
He does it every time.
He was getting held the entire last drive. If you go back and watch it, he was just getting wrapped up, and there wasn't a single call on it. I'm not blaming the refs for that. I don't like calls late game anyway, but it's hard to get pressure whenever you're holding the best defensive end in the league. It sucks what it is, but
if you look at it, that last drive by the Kansas City Chiefs, and the last two drives really was just, they didn't have any rushing yards till Patrick Mahomes ran the ball. That's the only time they moved the ball. That's what got San Francisco in trouble. You played that prevent defense, left your linebackers too far up. When early in the game, they were, getting to him, and that was what killed them. Plus, then you're right. San Francisco's offensive line really hurt themselves with the penalties, and then late in the game, they decided not to block Chris Jones, and that's what right up in the middle. That was just, there was two drives in the back-to-back where you just late in the game you just forgot to block. I don't know how you don't not block the defensive tackle right in front of you, but that's what killed them.
Yeah, for me, I did think the Chiefs would win this game because I thought they were better coached, and I thought that's what it came down to late. But especially early, I thought San Francisco, like you said, guys, they shot themselves in the foot the whole first half.
Yeah.
The punt, the muff punt, and the Christian McCaffrey fumble, and the Chiefs get 7 points off turnovers in that half, their only touchdown. Kansas City or San Francisco didn't get any points on turnovers in their first half on the Mahomes interception and a Pacheco turnover in the red zone.
Yeah.
And, if you can get a turnover like San Francisco did, but then you don't capitalize into points, the momentum kind of just falls back to even. I thought San Francisco didn't do a good job of that. I thought the entire first half, the Chiefs defense bailed them out by bending and not breaking a lot of field goals. That's championship mentality. You're not going to get a stop on that San Francisco offense every time, but if you can hold them to 3 or 0, I mean, that's a win. And I thought Mahomes played well when it mattered. And whenever I said this was why I took the Chiefs to win the game, whenever it is a must-go score at any point in the game, that's when the Chiefs play their best. The no-huddle offense, I have to score right now, and they did every time they needed to score. And I don't know how many times people have gone over this. 49ers botched that coin flip in overtime. You 100% take defense first. I'm not saying they lost because of that, because at the end of the day, they could have went for it on 4th down when they did. I mean, they still. Yeah. But there's no way that I mean, this will show everybody you always play defense first, because then if they score or don't, on the next drive when you have the ball, if you need to go for it, you get an extra down in that regard.
And then you have the blanket of the field goal, like Kansas City did.
I don't know if they really understood the rules of the overtime.
They did say I saw an article where it said most players didn't understand the rules afterwards,
which is crazy to me.
Well, I mean, as a perfect NFL coach, they should know it.
I understand if someone like us doesn't know it, which I didn't. I knew the rule, but I understand someone like us. If you're an NFL player or a coach, I mean, how do you not know that rule?
The captain going out there for the coin flip.
That's crazy,
would have said something.
And that's terrible. And I'm not saying it's the Niners' fault. I'm guarantee you there's other teams in the NFL who were put in that position. They could have done the same thing. But that's crazy if you didn't know that, because I knew that as a fan. I did. So that's bad.
The only thing I can see is if you took the first possession, because your defense was out there for a long time in that 4th quarter.
And I understood that in that regard. Yes.
Why you would want the ball, because you were hoping that you give them a rest and that you would. And you've been moving the ball all day, and they moved down. That's what got me. They on that overtime. They drove down the field 7 minutes.
Yeah.
And they got a penalty, and then stupid. I thought play calling. They were doing Bears offense. Throw it out there, try to the screens, and I get it when you're down that far in there. Give it to McCaffrey. Get your best player who've been moving the ball the entire time. But then give it to Kansas City. I mean, the 49ers defense did what they could. But then they gave up, a 3rd and long, a 4th down on the next drive. I mean, shot yourself. I think Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. I mean,
I do too.
Right? Andy Reid did a great job too. I think they both did. I just think there was player execution. The difference was I think Kansas City had experience and got what they needed to do, and San Francisco did not.
I said before the game that I did think the Chiefs would win, but I said even more confidently, if it was close late, I thought they'd find a way, because that's what they do. I thought the Niners had to have the lead going in by 10 or more to feel maybe comfortable, but not when it's close. The Chiefs have been too good over the years on a must-win game or must-win drive in the last few years. So I think it's really all I got. Congratulations to the Chiefs, first back-to-back in a long time. Got some key free agents for both, but we'll go over that in a later episode. But I think we're going to rock right into our NFL breakdowns. We'll start with the Panthers, because they finished with the worst record in football. Panthers finished with a 2-5 record. Their 2 wins, Week 8 against the Texans.
2-15 record.
Isn't that what I just said?
I said 2-5.
Oh, no, not 2-5. 2-15. Wins against the Texans and the Falcons. 2 wins is pretty rough in that regard. I mean, that's a pretty abysmal season. They fired their coach halfway through the season, and their draft picks, they don't really have a whole lot. I mean, they have the first pick of the 2nd round. They own their own 3rd, their own 4th. San Francisco's 5, Tennessee's 5, Arizona's 6. Outside of that, though, they don't have any first-round pick after going 2-5. Roy, how do you turn it around if you don't have a first-round pick like that?
Well, I mean, you're going to have to either make trades or you're going to have to sign free agents. I think they got some salary cap from what I saw.
Yeah.
The Panthers defense was ranked 4th total defense this year. So, I mean, you've got pieces on the defensive side. Their biggest problem was offense. I mean, they had nothing. I mean, when you trade DJ Moore away, I mean, you just pretty much – and you tried on an old Adam Thielen to try to cover it with a young quarterback who struggled. Bryce Young struggled. I mean, I've never been a Bryce Young fan. I don't think he's a dynamic quarterback. I think he can be a good average quarterback for the Panthers, but they got to surround him with some weapons. I mean, they're going to have to go out there and get either trade for draft picks and try to get get some good ones, or trade or get signed to some free agencies. They got to keep their defensive locked up. They got some free agents on the defense side, but they got to get those locked up. But then they're going to have to get some playmakers around Bryce Young, or you're going to continue to be 2-15.
Yeah, Bryce. Before I go to you, we'll go over some stats. I mean, just quick ones. I mean, you look at Bryce Young's 11 touchdowns and 10 picks. It's not good by any means, but it isn't. It isn't the most god awful stats you've ever seen. Peyton Manning threw a 1-to-1 ratio like that his rookie year. So, the stat that I look at the most when I look at this is Bryce Young was sacked 62 times. I don't know where that ranks. It has to be very high. You get sacked 62 times. I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. You're not comfortable back there. It's hard to make throws and sit in a pocket when you don't feel comfortable and trust your O-line. It just doesn't work like that. They had no run game. They signed Miles Sanders in the offseason, finished with 432 yards with 1 touchdown. I mean, that's no production. Wasn't even their starter into the season because they said his work ethic was not good. And then defensively, I don't have any defensive stats. Outside of Adam Thielen, there was no offensive player with good stats. Thielen over 1,000 yards, but only 4 touchdowns. They just didn't have any run game. Bryce, so I'll kick it over to you after I talk about the stats. How do you fix this team or something in that regard?
To me, they have to go out and they have to sign a big free agent or trade for a big wide receiver. Every rookie quarterback that we see that has success or like early quarterbacks, they have that blanket receiver that they can throw to whenever they get in a bind. Yeah, or tight end. So we saw it in Tennessee. Will Levis had success because he had Hopkins over the top. If he got worried, he threw it up to him. Hopkins made plays. Bryce Young does not have that. I mean, he sits in the pocket. He's crushed, and he has no offensive line, nobody to throw it to. Adam Thielen was an elite wide receiver. The guy's like 100 years old now. I mean, he's not out there getting 150 yards of receiving yards a game.
You're trying to compare DeAndre Hopkins to Adam Thielen. Thielen's a receiver who's just a possession guy. And DeAndre Hopkins is that guy that can spread the defense. And that was Panthers didn't have anybody to do anything like that.
Yeah.
And you can keep going.
Yeah, so they need to go out and sign somebody that they can throw it to. I mean, the running game is not there. So draft maybe a late round running back. I mean, we see those guys pop off all the time. Running backs this day, like they're all good. Like it doesn't really matter who you have, in my opinion. There's a few like key guys in the league who are like generational running backs, but other than that, the running back position is so talented now. They can get a running back late and be fine, in my opinion. So the wide receiver is their biggest thing that I think they need to target this offseason and either free agency or trading for.
Well, I think their offensive line they need to do something because their offensive line was absolutely horrible. I mean, they did not protect Bryce Young at all.
That's the route that I was going. I'm all for the receivers. I mean, you trade DJ Moore to get Bryce Young, and if you think that's the way to go, that's the way you think it should go. But you need to protect him. I don't care if you have DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Evans and Stephon Diggs out there. If you have no one to block for, you can't get the ball to him. I think they need to get an offensive line in front of them first and bring in somebody to play receiver. It doesn't have to be a superstar, but maybe 1 or 2 guys that have proven in the league that they can do it. Excuse me. They're big key free agents. I bolded them on our sheets. It's DJ Chark, who he had a good season, but he wasn't great. Their big ones, though, are outside linebacker Brian Burns. Like you said, Roy, they had a good defense. You have to keep him. He's the best player on the team. That's a must lock, and you have so much money to lock him in. Frankie Louvu, another good defensive end that they had, and strong safety. Well, he might be free safety, actually. Jeremy Chin. I mean, that's their best defensive players that I just named, basically. They are projected to have $31 million in cap, and Brian Burns' expected value is about 20, but there's always ways around the salary cap, restructuring, and we can't predict who they are going to restructure in that regard. So we can only go off what they have at the moment. They have money. They can keep all the guys they want, and they could still sign a few guys.
Yeah.
Bryce Young's not on a massive deal at the quarterback position, so you have flexibility. Is there any maybe 1 or 2 names that you guys can think of that you would like to see the Panthers target in free agency?
For me, if I'm picking for wide receiver, T. Higgins is the guy you need to target. I mean, he's been a number 2 his whole career. He could be a top 5 1 in the league if he gets in a position where he's going to get the ball 20 times a game. I think that's the best person for the Panthers to target, in my opinion. Which you might hear me say a lot this year because I think he's going to be a huge target for a lot of teams.
I agree.
How about you, Roy?
I think T. Higgins is who you got to go for, or maybe a top tier tight end. But yeah, Higgins is the best one out there, and he wants to be a number 1. I don't think Cincinnati can afford to keep him, so I think
I'll interrupt you guys. Not for sure, but I did read today Cincinnati is expected to tag T. Higgins and keep him in Cincinnati for the season.
Oh, they're
Feel
going to.
bad
Not,
for T. Higgins.
that has not happened, but that is the report that is
I
supposed
feel
to
bad
happen.
for Higgins if that happens.
Well, I mean, I forget about that franchise tag. That
Yeah.
franchise is a piece of crap.
It's a lot of money, but it's a
Yeah.
1 year. So
Yeah.
you just restructure everything. I have a sheet that has free agents on like page 10, like a few of them. Yeah, it's right here. The one that I like the most for the Panthers to go out and get, I thought they could really use a good tackle. The Cowboys could let Tyron Smith walk in free agency. That'd be a great person to even bring him in on a 1-year deal and help teach your young tackles, because they have drafted tackles for the Panthers. I mean, if you could just bring in somebody that can teach and play for 1 year, I think that could go a long way. So my look is the offensive line. Also, Kevin Zeitler played for Baltimore, guard. I think offensive line is the route they should go first, but they could go so many different ways. It's a football team. There's a lot of spots.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything else on the Panthers. I mean, there's so many ways to improve when you're this low in a standings. There's no one way to go. It's not like it's a Super Bowl winning team that has very little flaws. So I think that'll roll us into the Commanders. Bryce, I'll let you go over the Commanders a little bit because I can barely talk right now.
All right. So the Commanders ended with a 4-13 record, which is, I mean, that's horrible. I thought they were a much better team than 4-13 this year. The NFL draft, they have the number 2 pick. Round 2, they have 35 and 40 from the Chicago trade with Montez Sweat. They have round 3, number 66, 100 from the San Francisco for Chase Young. And then they have the round 4, 103, round 5, 135, round 6, 180, and round 7, 219. This team had a lot of issues this year. I thought that their staple was their defensive line. They arguably had one of the best defensive lines in the league with Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and then they got rid of both of them. You know, we just saw Chase Young go play a huge part in the Super Bowl for 3/4 of it, and we saw Montez Sweat be the first person to ever lead 2 teams in their sacks.
Yeah.
So losing both of them is huge for them. I think that they considered, like, you know, we're going to go complete rebuild. We thought we had a good team this year. We clearly don't. Sam Howell's not the guy, in my opinion. I think that this is a huge team that you could see trade up, put a huge package together for the Bears as number 1 overall pick. I don't know that for sure. I don't know what their front office thinks of Drake May. I mean, this is a stacked quarterback class, in my opinion. So they could be just fine staying at 2 and leaving. You know, they got Scary Terry. They have a few other players that I like. Brian Robinson Jr., he's good. Curtis Samuel. Those are all like good offensive players to build a team around. So they could be just fine taking a 2 and then not having to get rid of any key players and still have these players to help their young rookie quarterback, whoever that could be, still have good success there. So
how about you, Roy? What do you think of the Commanders season?
Well, I mean, the Commanders, when you have statistically the worst defense in the league this year, they were the worst defense in the league this year, according to overall defense. And I mean, half of it is because they traded a bunch of players away. And I mean, that killed them at the end of the year. I agree. I don't think Sam Howell is the quarterback to be. They are going to have to go out there and get new defensive linemen. I mean, you're going to have to get, they got free agents like Ndamukong Suh and some of those guys. They're going to have to get somebody in there to do that and draft. They're going to. I don't see them jumping from 2 to 1 because I don't think that's I think when you're in that position, you can either be happy with Caleb Williams or Drake May. I think that's who they're going to target. I think they're targeting Drake May. You got a new coach, you got a new system probably coming in. They do have some guys to go around them. Like you said, Scary Terry and Brian Robinson Jr. I think that they have weapons. Now their defense is terrible, so they're going to have to do something on the defensive side. Their pass defense was absolutely shit. So you got with Antonio Winfield Jr. and you got, I think Josh Allen's a free agent. You got guys that are free agents who you could put in there to help while drafting some young players. They're in a tough division, so they're it's going to have to be a rebuild. So that's what they're going to have to do with the new coach and just go up, try to build to be competitive with the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree with a lot that you guys both said. They did have that good D line. I mean, they had Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen inside. What's the other one? Jerron Payne. That's the one I forget. And then Chase Young, I mean, that's a star-studded as it can get in the NFL for a
Jerron
four
Payne
down.
might be a free agent too, right?
I
Who?
think he signed an extension last
Jerron
year.
Payne.
I could be wrong. I thought he signed an extension. Because that's who they kept was him. Yeah, Spencer Howell. Sam Howell is not the guy. I mean, 21 turnovers. I mean, that's a lot. And I watched a lot of them because they came against the Cowboys, it felt like. And they're forced. They're out routes where the DB is just jumping the route. And he's just, I don't know if it's the arm strength or receivers not getting open. I mean, Scary Terry does go over 1,000 yards by 2, but no other receiver on the entire roster has more than 4 touchdown catches on the year. It's too low. I get you spreading the ball out, but
Also the thing with their passing is I think that had a lot to do with their coaching because this could have been a really good run team, and they threw the ball like 45 times a game sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that's unbelievable.
And
the quarterback they had.
yeah, I agree completely. But it is hard to run the ball when you're down 40. I mean,
I agree.
so it goes both ways. But I do agree. Brian Robinson, I thought looked very good. I mean, I think he's definitely a good running back.
He was a top 5 fantasy running back this year.
And my problem, I don't see the Commanders going up to 1 from 2 to 1. And the only reason I don't see that is because they're kind of in a situation like the Panthers are currently, where they're just so bad they have so many holes. New coaching staff. Don't put that new coaching staff behind by trading a first-round pick next year. Now, the Panthers last year, they were at 9. They went from 9 to 1. That's why the package was so massive. And I don't think the Panthers envision them being this bad this year. I think if you say, hey, you're going to go 2-15 next year, they probably don't do the trade. But I could see maybe a team like Vegas coming up. They want a quarterback and give a haul, but I don't think it's going to be a team at like 2 or 3 that's going to go up to 1, especially at 2 where you could get Drake May. I mean, you don't have to move anything. So I don't see that. Their key free agents, I mean, they like a lot of, what do you call them, jack of all trade receivers, Curtis Samuel. They had Mecole Hardman, or not Mecole Hardman, I get them confused, Jamison Crowder and Byron Pringle. A lot of just speed guys that they don't get open too much.
And Logan Thomas is a good tight end.
Yeah.
He catches the ball a lot in their games.
Absolutely. Outside of that, they don't have too many big key free agents leaving. I would say they definitely try to keep Cameron Curl, young safety. I thought he played well, but
I mean, I can see him trading some of their top receiver or their top players just for draft picks.
Yeah.
I mean, when a team does this, when they get a new coach and they get these draft picks, I don't know. It's NFL just always does it. They just completely scrap and rebuild for some reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, you still need veteran players and good veteran players. Yeah. And, and that's what I'm afraid that, I don't know this new, this is a new ownership. You don't know how they're going to be. So they may think a different way, but if you're traditionally, I mean, the NFL teams like to trade their top players just for draft picks because that's what they just want to do a complete rebuild. And I think it's stupid to do that, complete rebuilds like that.
The one thing I will say about the Commanders that the Panthers don't have, they have $83 million in cap space without any restructures. So they can really go spend or do a trade however they want with. And if you're thinking about taking a quarterback at 2, you have a rookie contract quarterback for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So you really have some money to go spend. I'm dying. Sorry, boys. I would really like to see them take a quarterback at 2, whoever it is. And then this is a very deep receiver class. I'd like to see them get a receiver at the top of the second, number 35. You build an offense that already has Scary Terry there that you can keep. And then you can maybe attract some defensive players if your offense shows promise in the coming years. So that's the route that I'd like them to go. But I hope they botch it all because I hate the Commanders. So, you guys have anything else for the Commanders?
Not on them. No.
Nope.
That's probably it.
All right, Roy, I'll let you take it off with the Patriots one.
All right, the NFL Patriots finished the season with 4-13. Man, Bill Belichick's last year. They have draft picks round 1 to get number the 3rd pick, the 34th pick in the 2nd round, the 68th pick in the 3rd round, and the 100th pick in the 3rd round. They also got the 103rd in the 4th, 135 in the 5th, and a pick in the 6th and 7th rounds.
Yep.
Go
ahead, Roy.
No, go ahead. I was going to say the Patriots, they're going to be hard to predict what the Patriots are going to do. Bill Belichick, with the number 3 pick, you always knew he was probably going to trade that down. He was going to trade down and probably get like a Bo Nix or Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy, somebody that you could get he was all about value picks.
Yep,
And
100%.
that's what he now with Jared Mayo. I don't know how he's going to do it. I think being a young coach and a young guy, they're going to go for a quarterback because obviously the two that they got, Zappy and
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones
are not quarterbacks that are going to get you anywhere in the NFL. I mean, those are Chicago Bear type quarterbacks. So just leave them.
That's stupid.
There. So they got to draft a quarterback is what they're going to have to do. Now, I'm not a big fan of either Drake May or Caleb Williams, but I'm guarantee. All I've heard is that Patriots want Caleb Williams, and they're the type with this new regime. I could see them trading up for the number 1 pick, which I think is stupid, but I can see something like that happening.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any world where the Patriots don't trade up for the number 1 pick. I think that Caleb Williams and Drake May are valued so high in this draft this year that there is no shot that a team like the Patriots is missing out on them. I think it would be reasonable to go back, get a different quarterback, and take running as your highest pick because you have to build the run game. They have absolutely no run game. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was their leading rusher. I don't even remember seeing him run the ball this year. Like, they don't have anybody to throw to. They don't have anybody to pass to. The whole team, the whole offense needs just completely vamped up. And if you go up and you trade up for this new quarterback, you're going to see the exact same situation we're seeing with Bryce Young. He could be a good quarterback, but he has absolutely no weapons to throw to. So it's going to be tough either way, I think. I think the more value is the Bill Belichick way to trade down, get a different quarterback like a Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy, someone like that, and build weapons around him and let him develop with the team.
I agree, but I don't think they have the same. I mean, that was Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they will.
Different. I mean, they got all new people making decisions there.
Yeah.
I don't think you should draft a running back high. I think you should draft a quarterback and running backs late in the first round or second round because I think you get more value on the top picks by your defensive players and your offensive tackles. And that San Francisco needs both. They need an offensive tackle. Their defense was ranked 7th in the league this year, total defense. So you can at least hang your hat that you have a defense, but now you're going to have to go on the offensive side. But I agree. I don't know somebody's going to trade up and get one. It's not going to be the Bears are going to take one. I think they're going to they're going to trade somebody up, and Patriots are probably one of the 8 teams are probably going to try.
Yeah. Now I'm excited for the Bears episode because then we could really start talking that number 1 pick because we didn't really get to talk about it because the Panthers don't have it. I think this is where it gets interesting because, I mean, I don't know who's going to have 1 and 2, but I don't see a world where it's not Caleb Williams 1, Drake May 2, whoever has those picks. Or you could flip them, I guess, but they're going to be the first 2 players in my opinion. But at 3, you're not guaranteed one of those guys,
Yeah.
So that's where I understand. I don't hate the idea of them going to 1 and getting Williams. Like you said, it's a brand new era. I mean, everything is new. No Bill Belichick. If they're going to do something crazy like that, I'd at least do it right off the bat. Just rip the Band-Aid off. Don't Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's not there anymore. Do your own thing. I don't think they're going to. I think that they're going to take a defensive player if they trade back. I can see the Patriots trading back because, like the other one said, this isn't a team that's been up here with the number 3 pick very often. And let's say one of those quarterbacks don't go 1 or 2. I could see the offers coming to New England and being phenomenal. What if the Bears do stick at 1 and they don't take a quarterback? They shock the world. I mean, it's happened before. Not saying it will. I don't think it will, but you never know. I think the Patriots is kind of where the draft starts. So they have so many routes they could go. I don't think they should take a running back. I think Zeke's the guy. I'm just kidding. Now, I'm sure Zeke's a free agent. I'm sure they won't bring him back. Probably they have Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is a good running back. I think they could just get another late running back. Late round running back.
I think Stevenson's one of those guys I was talking about earlier. Like every running back's good.
Yeah.
Now, like he's one of those running back, but he's not going to change the game, and he's not going to be the guy breaking a bunch of tackles and getting huge runs that you would see out of a generational talent. He's one of the average running backs that's going to do a good run.
Receiving running back that can catch the ball.
Yeah.
But they're statistical leaders. I mean, they had no pass game at all this season. I mean, worst pass game in football probably. Leading receiver had 561 yards, and it is Demario Douglas, leading receiver. I mean,
I couldn't have told you he was.
I didn't even. Yeah. So they're impending. Oh, that's not the right team. Impending free agents. They do have a big tackle, Trent Brown. I don't see him staying. They have Zeke. Don't see him staying. They do have a young Kyle Duggar at safety that I could see them bringing back. But just like the Commanders, $70 million in cap space. They got a lot of money. That's another reason why I wouldn't hate if they moved up to one. They could go get their quarterback that they think is the guy in a new regime without Bill Belichick. They could also go get a receiver in free agency.
Yeah.
And then there you go. You have a quarterback. You have a receiver. Like Bryce said, it was always good to have a good number one, or at least someone that can play. It doesn't have to be a superstar. But the Patriots whenever you have that much money, there's so many different routes you could go.
Yeah.
So it's hard to.
If I had that much money and I was a Patriots, I would trade that 3 pick, trade down, pick a quarterback in the 2nd round or 3rd round where you get a value pick, sign Kirk Cousins and let him sit there for 4 years and let your rookie quarterback learn how from it. That's what I would do.
For 4 years?
That's not a bad idea, really.
What are you talking about? I mean, you get a value pick of a quarterback, and then you get him in that 2nd contract at the 4th year. That's what Packers do all the time. You get him in that 4th year, you don't have to pay him the multi-million-dollar contract. Then you get him.
You don't even have to have him start for the 4 years. You could have him start for 2 years and then have him come in
3 years, and then you pay him.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree with that.
I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be playing in 4 years. Guy's like 40.
Did you not see his dance that he was doing the other day? That guy's got years left in him.
He's also coming off torn Achilles.
Oh,
He was busting moves the other day. He's fine.
heck, freaking Aaron Rodgers was back in like 3 months for somehow on that.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. I don't know what he did, but
HGH. Man.
No, he didn't. I listened to him talk about it, the whole thing. It was pretty cool.
That's all we really have for the teams. I want
to say, Roy, I do hate that I fucking like Aaron Rodgers. It pisses me off more than anything in the world because that guy is fucking awesome, dude. Everything he does, he does is awesome. But he was a Packers fan. He was a Packer, and he's a piece of shit because of that, and I hate it. He makes me like him every day more, which pisses me off more.
Okay, this is a question, and I'm going to do this every episode. Of the 3 teams we talked about today, Panthers, Commanders, and Patriots, who is the most improved team next season of the 3? I'll let you go first, Roy.
I will say the Panthers just because they're in a weaker division.
That is very solid. That's
That
a
is
good point.
But I think it's the Commanders. I think the Commanders had a good team this year, and they just played horrible. So I think that they're only a few pieces away from being at least double the wins they got this year, get an 8-win team.
But you're gonna have to play. You're gonna have to play Philly and Dallas twice.
Yeah. Who are both teams that are the most inconsistent teams in the entire world.
And
can
the
lose to
Giants,
anybody on any given day.
better team than they are. So they're. I mean, it's just a tougher division.
Yeah. I really do like your take on the weak division. I'm going to take the third option. I'm going to say it's the Patriots because, in my opinion, they have 2 options if they stick at 3 and pick. They're either going to take a quarterback who's not one of the big 2, maybe Jane Daniels, who won the Heisman, or they could shock the world and go someone else. Or they can take the best player in the draft, Marvin Harrison. And I don't know who's going to be throwing it to him. Maybe it's Kirk Cousins, like you said. But I think the Patriots will have the most improved because I think the fresh face that's not Dan Quinn in Washington is going to help them. I think that's going to take us over to baseball. You guys good with that?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to go over the NOS. I'm dying. Go ahead.
We're going over the MLB NL West division this week. Starting off with the Colorado Rockies. Their record was 59-103. Not great. They didn't have any key losses though, and the one big key addition they had was Cal Quantrill. He was traded from Cleveland. So
I can go over the rest.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I don't lose anything, of high value. I mean, they do lose Jerks and Profar, but I mean, for a 59-win team, you're not losing anything.
You're not losing anything.
Yeah, you had Cal Quantrill, been in the league a few years. It's really just a hope that he does well and flip him at the deadline for more. That's really all you're hoping for. Projected starters has them going Charlie Blackmon, Ezekiel Tovar, Nolan Jones, Chris Bryant, Ryan McMahon, Brendan Rodgers, and then the rest of I don't even know who they are. I'm going to be honest. Pitching staff, Kyle Freeland, Cal Quantrill, Austin Gomber, Dakota Hudson, a few Cardinals in there, former Cardinals at least. And then a bullpen of a lot of no-name guys. There really isn't a lot to talk about when it comes to the Rockies this season. It's just a rebuild. I mean, they entered this rebuild when they gave the Cardinals Nolan Arenado for absolutely nothing.
yeah.
And this is what you get when you trade the best player in your franchise, probably, for absolutely nothing. You probably deserve to go through a rebuild like this. Pitching has always been difficult in cores, they say. But you do have a few good hitters. I mean, you signed Chris Bryant to a big deal. Nolan Jones has been there, had a really good year last year. He's only 25 years old. Brendan Rodgers, former top 10 pick in the draft, if he can stay healthy. Roy, what are your takeaways or predictions for the Rockies this season, if there's any?
My prediction will be that they'll finish last in their division. They did. I mean, Chris Bryant is probably their only veteran that's good, and he's kind of washed up now. I mean, he's not the player he was. They got Brendan. I mean, they got some young players, but it's just they're not a team that can compete with the higher up guys in that division. So they're gonna finish last.
Yeah, I agree. They don't have any stars on this team, really. Chris Bryant was a star, but a 266 batting average with 18 home runs, like that's not a star in today's MLB league. So you don't have a single player going over 300. I mean, there's not a lot to expect out of your team at that point. So the rebuild, like Josh said, just.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point, you're just hoping that one of those pitchers has a good year in cores and you can flip them. That's all you're trying to do. Chris Bryant, he signed his contract. He stopped playing baseball. So he's pretty much done at this point. I mean, you hope that he has a good year, but you got to hope Nolan Jones takes a step up. But outside of that, it's really just one of those years. You're in a really good division. You're going to lose a lot of games playing them. And that's just what it is. It happens. And I think you just got to move on from that. So we're going to move on from the Rockies. It's going to take us to the team that finished in fourth last year, the San Francisco Giants. Finished 79-83, respectable record, a little bit below 500. They did miss the playoffs. They do have key losses. Longtime shortstop Brandon Crawford, who's still a free agent. Jock Peterson, who did sign with Arizona. Sean Manaea, who went to the Mets. And Mitch Haniger traded back to Seattle. But they do have some key signs. Jung-Ho Lee, early in the offseason from Japan, signed. They do sign Jordan Hicks, the reliever, who they're planning to use as a starter. So we see how that goes. He throws a 103-mile-an-hour sinker. And they do sign Jorge Soler as of last night. I think it was a 4-year deal. I believe
It was 4-year.
Yeah. So they signed Jorge Soler, probably going to DH a lot there in that big ballpark. But projected lineup, Jung-Ho Lee, Thairo Estrada, Lamont Wade Jr., Jorge Soler, Michael Conforto, Wilmer Flores, Mike Yastrzemski, Patrick Bailey, and Marcel Luciano, the prospect, with a pretty weak bench. Pitching staff, Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, the rookie, highly touted prospect, Jordan Hicks, the reliever, who they're going to throw in the starter, and then a few no-name younger guys. They do have a good bullpen, though, with Camilo Doval, Tyler Rogers, Taylor Rogers, and they did sign Amir Garrett to a minor league contract, but he's expected to make the major league roster. Bryce, I'll give it to you because we did talk about the Jung-Ho Lee signing a little bit. We did talk about Jorge Soler before he signed a little bit. What are your thoughts on this San Francisco team in this tough division?
I thought that the San Francisco team, I thought they had a lot of hope at the end of last year because even though they had a negative record, I didn't think that their team was all that bad, really. They didn't win a lot of games because I don't think they had great pitching, but they had a good outfield and good hitters on their team with Brandon Crawford and Jock Peterson. I think that losing those two is going to hurt them a lot more than what some other people might think because Jock's he's one of the best hitters in the league, in my opinion. And Brandon Crawford's also a very good shortstop. And obviously, the addition of Jung Ho Lee, like, it's a gamble, you know. These Japanese players, they're really good in Japan, but not all of them turn out in America like you hope for him to. I hope that he's a good player for the Giants. And Jorge Soler, he's a good player too. I still don't think either one of those players is equivalent to what they lost. So I see them being somewhere similar to what they were last year coming into this year. I don't think that they made huge leaps or losses in what they've done so far.
How about you, Roy? What do you think of the Giants' moves?
I mean, these are typical Giant moves. I mean, that's what they do. The Giants make a history of playing players that you never heard of and don't know the calling up. They make these sneaky trades, and then they get a player that you're like, why the hell they get them? And then they turn out to be pretty good. Or they get this old guy who just turns out to be, using the last of it, and it turns out to be good. I mean, they don't get big stars there. That's just not what they do. They try every year, but they just don't get it. But they perform for the Giants. The Giants always hang around 500. I mean, they were a little less this year, but I think they'll be over 500. I mean, these steals aren't. I think Brandon Crawford's the worst, their biggest loss. I mean, I think that's a big loss because he's just been a staple for them for several years. They're just going to be a 500 team, and then if you get some young kid to just be the star, then they'll be 5-6 games above 500. You get a couple guys who's going to be 7, 8, 10 games above 500. That's what they do. That is what the Giants have always done and always will do. And you can say their pitching side doesn't look that good, but always turns out to be decent pitchers. So I think they're going to be 500. They finished 79-83. I think they'll be around 82 and 82. But then any of these guys kids, I mean, they're going to finish right now. I have them finishing third in the AL or the NL West. So, but I think they'll do a little bit better than they did last year.
You hit it right on the nail. This team has been searching for that superstar for the last 4 or 5 years. They just can't get them. I mean, they've offered Aaron Judge. They've offered Carlos Correa. They can't land. They've offered Shohei, so reportedly they just can't land the guy. I do like the Jung Ho Lee signing. Really good athletic center fielder. He's going to cover a lot of ground in that big ballpark in San Francisco. Jock crushed right-handed pitching. Brandon Crawford's been a staple in the clubhouse for a long time. If they can turn Jordan Hicks into a reliable starter, I like the signing. I don't know how well that's going to work. I mean, he's relieved his whole life basically outside of high school or something. Those kids always start. I mean, professional ball.
They can develop pitching. So
yeah, and I agree. That's why I like the signing for them. Jorge Soler to me is just a right-handed swinging Jock Peterson. He crushes lefties. It's just a flip. So, whatever, I guess. I still don't. I mean, this team, it's any team in baseball. They get hot at the right time. They're good. It's just how it works. On paper, though, it's all you can go off of. I don't love the team. I think Logan Webb's a fantastic starter. Outside of that, you have question marks. But like you said, Roy, I trust their pitching coaches. They're going to pitch well. They do have a good bullpen, and I agree with you, Roy. I mean, it's right around a 500 team. I agree. I think they're going to be a little bit over. I think Jung Ho Lee is going to be a good player. I really do.
Yeah.
And I also have them finishing third in the division. And that's going to take us to the team that finished in third last season, San Diego Padres. They finished 82-80 and missed the playoffs. And they had one of the best rosters I've ever seen miss the playoffs. And I know rosters don't win games on the field do, but it was bad. Their key losses, they lose Gary Sanchez, who had a very good season for him, to Milwaukee. Blake Snell's a free agent. Josh Hader goes to Houston. Michael Wacha goes to Kansas City. Matt Carpenter goes to St. Louis. And Trent Grisham and Juan Soto go to New York. Their key additions are really all Yankees, every single one of them. Kyle Higashioka, Michael King, Johnny Brito, Rainy Vasquez, Drew Thorpe from the Juan Soto deal, and they signed Wandy Peralta in free agency a few weeks ago. All New York Yankees. There's not much to say. When you lose Josh Hader, one of the best closers in baseball, Juan Soto, one of the best players in baseball, Blake Snell, the former Cy Young from last season. I mean, it's hard to not say they're going to get worse. But you look at their lineup, and they do have a good lineup. They do. But outside of that, you have a lot of question marks. Projected lineup, Hung Sung Kim Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, and that sounds great at the top 4. But then you go Jake Cronenworth, Luis Campusano, Jerickson Profar, Matthew Baton, and Jose Azocar. Just a lot of quiet names down there. Pitching staff: Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish, Michael King, Pedro Avila, and Randy Vasquez. And outside of Wandy Peralta, a lot of quiet names in the bullpen. Roy, I'll let you go first on this. How are you going to predict this team that has such a good lineup up top? But, I mean, you saw the team they had last year and they couldn't perform. So, I mean, how do you expect them to get better this year? Do you not?
They're not. They're not going to be any better this year. You have big names at the top of the order. That's all you have. Manny Machado is probably the best of that group, in my opinion, but he's getting older. And he's the type of guy that they're going to try. They're going to try to trade him probably around the deadline this year, because I think they're going to be out of the playoffs and they're going to say, we need to get rid of him. Fernando Tatis Jr. has been a big disappointment other than like the first 2 years in the league. He can't stay healthy, and he just doesn't. I don't know if it's a care reason or if it's just, hey, I got a shitload of money. I don't, whatever. Or he just can't stay healthy. He doesn't take care of himself. I don't know what his problem is. Their problem last year was they couldn't keep people healthy. And then, when you have Juan Soto, Manny Machado, you had a lineup that should have made you to playoffs. And you had a great pitching staff. So I don't know if it's just they don't have the care. You got a lot of guys that probably just weren't into it, or I don't know. But then you lose some of your best pitchers and your closer. And didn't replace them with young guys, young Yankee guys. So what you've done is just you went from an 82 to 80 team to probably a 75 wins. I mean, you're gonna maybe win some games just because of that lineup, but you're not gonna win anything more. Maybe probably 70 games, more like it.
Yeah. How about you, Bryce? What do you think of the offseason?
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that this is the biggest disappointment in baseball this year. They probably had the best team I've ever seen on paper, and they just didn't compete, But I don't think that's like the biggest thing to worry about is all their losses. Sometimes we see teams, they get all these big names and they don't work out. We could see people like Fernando's and Xander Bogaerts. We could see them step up this year. Now that there's less stars on the team, they feel like they got to play more of a role. We could see them still be fine in the hitting department, in my opinion, because I think they have enough players to do it. You name the top 4. I don't think Jake Cronenworth's that bad of a player, really. I think he's a good first baseman. I know you guys might not think that, but I think their biggest issue is that they lost pitching, and I don't think that they're going to be able to outswing some other teams because they're definitely going to give up some runs. They lost the best closer in baseball, one of the best. They're going to lose one of the best pitchers in baseball. It's going to be hard to come back from that, but I still think that they have players that they can build around. I don't think that they need to go through a rebuild. I think that there are a few pitchers, maybe 1 or 2 hitters away from being an elite team again because they still have such good talent on the roster.
I think that, hold on, one more thing. I think the problem is the ownership is losing money. And I mean, they're not doing well. I mean, that's what happened to the Chargers. They got a bunch of players in San Diego and then ownership was losing a lot of money and they had to move. Yeah. I hope the Padres aren't doing that because I love having a team in San Diego. And I thought it was great that they were winning, but they're running out of money. And I think, and they're a big strike. You talk about big bats, but they're big strikeouts. And in baseball nowadays, you have to at least can't strike out. You got to be able to put the ball in play, unless you're the freaking Yankees who just hit home runs and then they suck in the postseason. But other than that, you got to be able to hit the ball.
Yeah, well, like you said, Roy, I mean, San Diego is considered a mid-market team. They're not that LA, New York. And whenever they went out and traded for Josh Hader, and they traded for Juan Soto, people said, you will not be able to pay them that. You do not have money. Well, guess what? They took their shot and they went for it. I respect it. That's awesome. Go do it. It didn't work. I mean, didn't work horribly. I mean, you missed the playoffs. That's bad. It didn't work. You got to deal them. Thought they got a good deal in the Juan Soto trade, but you lost Josh Hader for nothing. That's what happens when you go for it. Sometimes it doesn't work, and you kind of got to take some steps back. I thought they got a good return for Juan Soto. I like their additions of all the Yankees. We know them well, Roy, me and you do. The lineup is good. I still think they could, you could in the mid-season, if you're playing well, make some trades, boost that lineup just a little bit. Some better, third baseman, you have Matthew Baton. You could improve upon that at the deadline for not a lot. And you add Michael King to a rotation of you, Darvish, and Joe Musgrove. I think this team can win some games. I think it's going to hurt them in the bullpen a lot. I mean, they don't have a lot in that bullpen. I think that's really where they're going to hurt. You could always move Mike King back to the bullpen because you did trade for Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and Drew Thorpe. I think this team could be a surprise team because everybody is, like we said, counting them to be worse. I'm just going to fall in the categories. I also think they're going to get worse. I don't think all those players are going to have as good of a season. Machado just signed a big extension. I mean, he's got like 9 years left on that deal. I don't know how you move that right now. You're
going to get a team that will want him. You can trade anybody. If you add somebody to this, you can trade anybody if the player is willing to be traded.
Yeah, I mean, Bogarts signed a big deal. I mean, Bogarts' deal really pushed Soto out of town, which if you're a Padres fan, you got to just not like that. But it is what it is. I enjoy it, so I don't mind. But I don't really have anything. I am projecting the Padres to finish in fourth to fall one spot. And I think that's going to take us on to they're right here. The team that finished in the second place last year, Arizona Diamondbacks, finished with an 84-78 record, and they made it all the way to the World Series as a wild card team and lost in 5 games to the Texas Rangers. Their key losses in free agency, Tommy Pham, who's still a free agent, Mark Melancon, who's still a free agent, and Evan Longoria, who's still a free agent. And their key additions, they signed Jock Peterson, they signed Eduardo Rodriguez from the Tigers, and they traded for Eugenio Suarez from the Seattle Mariners. I'll go first on this one. I think they got hot at the right time, and their young players played well. They all played well last year, and that's good for them. Corbin Carroll was a top pick. That's what it's supposed to be. They trade for Gabriel Moreno from the Blue Jays, end up playing very well down the stretch. Trade for Lourdes Gurriel from the Blue Jays, played very well down the stretch, and they re-signed him. I didn't add him to the key additions because he was technically already there. I think they had a lot of role players play at the top of their potential. I don't know if you can repeat that over a whole season, but you have to like the way this team's moving. I love the addition of Eduardo Rodriguez, that pitching staff. Their pitching staff now is Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, Brandon Pivot, and Ryan Nelson, with a bullpen of Miguel Castro, Paul Sewald, Joe Mantiply, and that's probably it when it comes to your household names. I think this team, 84-78 last year, I think that's right about where they can finish again. I think they can, they can get up to 90. It's a tough division though, in my opinion. Still, even the Padres, who I have at 14, I still think that's a good team. So I just don't think you're going to see them win 100 games, just because I just don't know if they can beat that many teams in that division that much. But this is a playoff team in my opinion. They're young. They made the playoffs last year, made it all the way to the World Series with a brand new coach. I don't see why they can't just take a little bit of a step forward in the wins department. Once you get in the playoffs, it's a different ballgame. But I see this as a playoff team.
Yeah, I see it as a playoff team too. I think that they're going to finish around the same area that they finished last year. Like Josh said, their young players play good. I mean, Corbin Carroll was amazing this year. Ketel Marte, he's been solid ever since he's been there. Christian Walker. I think adding Jock Peterson, a big bat at the 4 spot in their batting rotation, I think that's huge for them. They have good pitchers. They put the ball in play. Have that guy that gets the home runs for you at the 4 spot. That's what you want there. I think that's a perfect free agent signing for them. And if they get hot again, I would watch out for them in the playoffs. I mean, they've proved it once. They could be like the Phillies. I mean, they get hot every year in the playoffs, go on streaks, and eventually you do that enough, you're going to win. So,
yeah. How about you, Roy? What do you think of the Diamondbacks?
I actually think they'll win a couple more games than they did last year. They do have a bunch of young kids. I mean, several that, even the Yankees were trying to poach from them. Dodgers were trying to poach from them. Everybody's trying to poach from the team because, Diamondbacks aren't good for usually a long period of time. Yeah. So that's what they're trying to do. But now they got a good young nucleus, and they added. I think Jock Peterson will help them in being the DH and stuff. I think they've got a good team. Yes, it's a tough division, but I really think that you you don't play your divisions as much as you used to because of this playing everybody in Major League Baseball. I think they'll win. I think they're going to get closer to 90 wins this year. I think they'll be a much better team. They'll make the playoffs. It'll be will they get hot again? That's what happened. They got, like you guys said, they got hot. Young players get streaky sometimes. Could they get back there? Yes. Can they get back to World Series? Yes. But you could lose in a wild card game. So it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they'll get up to more closer to 90 wins this year, though.
Yeah, and I think I know based off your standings, right? You have this team finishing in second as well.
Yes, I got them seconds.
I do as well. That's going to lead us to the team that won the division last year and was, I believe, the 1 seed in the playoffs. Could be wrong on that, but I know they made the playoffs, won the division. Los Angeles Dodgers, 162. They did lose in the NLDS to those Diamondbacks. 3-0, got swept. Key losses. They lose J.D. Martinez, who's still a free agent. They lose Jose Urias, who's a piece of shit human being. Not going to talk about him. Going to talk about Lance Lynn. You like that, Roy?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about him after that. That's all he is. Lance Lynn goes to the Cardinals. Caleb Ferguson and Victor Gonzalez both go to the Yankees. Ryan Pepio goes to the Rays, traded. And Michael Busch goes to the Cubs. Even though he did not appear on their Major League roster, I still thought it was a big enough subtraction to their organization. Additions, they signed Teoscar Hernandez. They signed Yashibo Yamamoto from Japan. They signed the big fish Shohei Ohtani for $2 a day. They trade for Tyler Glass now, and they also included Manuel Margot from Tampa in that trade. A lot of big names that everybody's accustomed to. I'm going to read this all-star roster real quick. It's going to go Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani to DH, Will Smith, Max Muncy, James Outman, Teoscar Hernandez, Jason Hayward, Gavin Lux, with Chris Taylor and Manuel Margot on the bench as your 2 utility guys. The projected rotation as of now is Yamamoto, Glasnow, Bobby Miller, James Paxton, and Emmett Shaheen. But they do have Clayton Kershaw coming back as he's been re-signed about midway through the year. And I would also say Walker Buehler is also going to come about midway through the year. So both those players would be in their starting rotation for James Paxton and Shaheen then. And they will get Shohei back next season, but he will not pitch this season. So for this season, we will not talk about Shohei on the mound. He's just going to DH. Bryce, I'll let you go first. I mean, I don't know how anyone in the world can predict them not to win the division. I mean, but shoot your shot. Say what you want to say.
Yeah, I mean, this team won 100 games last year, and I think they're going to win more this year. They're clearly the best team in the league. I mean, just looking at this list of all the players they added, it's unbelievable. I mean, they have Teoscar Hernandez batting 7th in their lineup. He could be a 300 level or 300 average hitter. Like, looking at their roster, they might have 7 guys at one point hitting over 300. Like, that's how good this lineup is. I mean, Jason Hayward, terrible. Gavin Lux is a decent player, though. Everybody else on that team is a great hitter. So, like, this team's unbelievable. But like we saw with the Padres last year, it was the best team I'd ever seen then.
Yeah.
They didn't play good. We can see the same thing happen with the Dodgers. I mean, it's not proven that spending the most money wins baseball games. They got beat by the Arizona Diamondbacks last year.
Swept first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's obviously not the same team as this year, but it is what it is. Like, it's not proven. All the people that are hating on them for spending so much money, it's not proven. The same thing could happen. They might have to completely rebuild because they spent so much money and now they just have nothing, after a few years. But
yeah,
I don't think it's going to go that way, but it could.
They have too much money. They're going to win 110 games at least.
Yeah.
They're going to win 110. Their pitching staff, I mean, Yamamoto, I know we don't know what he's going to be like. I still think he's going to be decent. First year guys are always that good. Ohtani's, you saw he started hitting yesterday. I mean, he's starting to hit. I mean, so he'll be a force that hit. The difference between them and the Padres have some guys that have history of, not giving a shit, not being this way. Manny Machado was kind of like that. The Orioles that did his own thing. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, those guys aren't those guys. Those guys are out to win, out to play, and they're going to give everything they have every night. And I love Freddie Freeman. I was pissed when the Yankees couldn't get him instead of they got Anthony Rizzo. I wanted Freddie Freeman because that guy is a leader and a stud. The sneaky one is Tyler Glasnow. I think that guy is an awesome pitcher. I don't even know what I mean. Tampa Bay, what the hell are you thinking about giving away him?
Yeah.
I mean, you traded that guy.
Well, he was due to get paid. You know the Rays better than anyone, Roy, just like me. They're due to get paid. It's time to ship them. And they did get a good haul.
You're going to build a new stadium over there. You got to get – I mean, he is – I know he was hurt a little bit last year, but he is a stud. And for him to be your second, maybe third best pitcher, that is crazy.
Glasnow is coming off Tommy John. I do believe he made it back before the end of the season for a few innings. But, he is coming off a major injury as well. But, yes.
You just wait. He'll be about June or July.
Yeah.
He'll start throwing hard, start playing, being the pitcher he wants. Then you bring back, Buehler and Kershaw and those guys. And those are Buehler is a top starter. And Kershaw can be your 5. I mean, you're talking a stud pitching. That's the difference.
Yeah.
This year from last year. That's why I see them at least going to the NLCS. They should go to the World Series. I don't think the bullpen. I mean, they could still, but they'll make the difference about the Dodgers. They will make trades at the deadline to get them better, and they got the money to do it, and they don't give a shit about how much money they're spending. And I think they're out to win at these next. They got a window here, and they're going to win.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this team, and you could, if you were to disguise it and say the NL All Stars, you would get away with it. I mean, it's a star-studded lineup, and just like you said, Roy, you took what I was going to say. You have players in here; they just want to all they want to do is effing win the game. They don't give a shit. Mookie Betts could care less if it's 280 or 380. If he wins the ball game, he's happy. Same with Freddie. Same with Shohei. He's shown it over the years. Why he left the Angels? He loved it there. He did not want to leave the Angels. But he said, guess what? You're going to pay me money to go cross town to a better organization who wants to win, and they have proven track record. They're going to do it. I respect the Dodgers for spending money. I mean, they spend a lot, but I respect it. They want to win, and they have Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, who are both into their 30s. You don't have 10 years with those guys to win a World Series. So I respect it. Like you said, Roy, I agree with you. Tyler Glasnow is a superstar still. Adding him is massive. And you said it, Roy. I agree with everything you said. When you're all healthy, Tyler Glasnow, Yamamoto, Bobby Miller, Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, in any order.
Next year, Shohei.
Next year, Shohei, exactly. This is a star-studded. Clayton, I do think Clayton Kershaw, I think this will be his final season in Major League Baseball. I just think he's running out of time. His injuries are catching up. I think he knows this is it probably, and that's why he's coming back. He's not going to be back till midway anyway. This is a star-studded lineup. Good bullpen. We didn't talk about it. Evan Phillips, Brusdar Graterol, Joe Kelly, Ryan Brazier, Blake Trinan, and JP Fireheisen. Just a good lineup, good team, good rotation, good bullpen. The only thing I can really see in my eyes that could kill this team is injuries. I mean, it happens with anybody. You can't predict it. The team gets injury riddled. I could see it being a problem.
But they're deep enough on positions and players that they could do it. And you brought up Clayton Kershaw again. He's gonna. I mean, he's at the end of his career. This will be it. This reminds me of CC Sabathia, the guy that just comes back from an injury, and he's going to be the leader of that team. And he's going to go out there and he's going to throw his arm out like CC did to help them win. And that's the difference. Is he's got a guy, and this Dodgers team is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, this team has potential to be like the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
And this, I know, some people view this different. Each of us are high market or big market team fans, Chicago, New York. Some people don't view this as good for baseball. This is great for baseball.
Yeah,
I don't care if it's the Cubs. If you have a big market team who's going out there and they're flexing their muscles, because guess what? The Kansas City Royals, the Oakland Athletics, they have unlimited paychecks too. Their owners have just as much money. They could go out there and pay the same amount, but they don't. That's their own fault. There's no cap. Now, you want to talk a salary cap, that's a different story. But at the end of the day, they have the same opportunity to go sign someone else.
It's good for sports too, like watching like super teams, like it's good because the fans of them love them and the people hate them. Like it creates the enemy in baseball.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. Like it's good for the sport, even if like you're in their division and you want to win. You're the underdog now. Like if you beat them, you're the big fucking name out there that just took down one of the greatest rosters ever assembled. That makes for fucking movies. Like this is good for the sport.
Yeah.
No matter where you're at.
As Yankee fans, we loved being the evil empire. Loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what you want to be. I know you guys spend the money wisely, and I think that's the difference that the Dodgers did, spend it on wisely. Best players.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're all in agreement that this team is going to finish first in the NL West. I'm going to ask you kind of just how we did with the football teams that we talked about. Give me one surprise from this division. It can be a standing. It can be a player's performance. Anything, any surprise. Just give me one, and I'll go first. So I'll give you guys some time to think. I could see it. I'm not going to say I'll predict it, but I'll just use this as mine. I could see the Padres being the surprise and getting into the playoffs. Maybe jumping the Diamondbacks. Maybe the Diamondbacks don't do as well this year. I don't think that's going to happen, but I could see it because they did add Michael King and a lot of pitching depth. You know, they have good depth there in pitching now in San Diego. I could see San Diego being the surprise team of this division.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think that San Diego still has a really good team. I could see them winning more games than Arizona does this year. So
I think the Giants is a surprise team. I think they've got enough team chemistry, history of what they do, and I could see them being second. I don't think they can compete with the Dodgers, but I think they could finish second in division and make the playoffs. That's just the Giants way, and I think they could. And I think some of their young guys could really pick it up and play better.
Yeah, this is a good division. I mean, you have four teams that are good teams. I would still count the Padres as a good team. The Giants as well. I count Giants as a good team, and then Arizona and LA. We know outside of Colorado, not much to talk about. But this is a good division, and it's going to be fun to see if there's any shakeup because we haven't had Arizona good in a long time. So it's good to see another team jump into the mix. I don't think we have anything else for baseball. Do you guys?
Nope.
Good. That fixed my baseball itch I've been having the last week. Thank you, guys. We're going to do Josh's lock, Bryce's game, and Roy's old man wisdom, and I have to check to make sure it hasn't changed. My bet for the Super Bowl lock hit. I'm 2-2 on the locks this month.
tell them about your locks.
Oh yes, Roy. I was saving this for the podcast. I'm gonna read it, Roy. Okay. I made a bet for the Super Bowl with my mom. We both did it. We each put $25 in, so the bet was a $50 bet. Got it? Are you ready, Roy?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes over 261.5. Check. Brock Purdy over 248.5. Check.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes rushing yards over 26.5. Check.
Wow.
Chiefs money line. Check. Brock Purdy over 12.5 rushing yards. He had 2 runs in the second quarter. 1 for 9, 1 for 4. He was over the entire game, had 13 rushing yards. His kneel down at the end of regulation lost me $1,150.
I can't believe you went with the Brock Purdy or the Mahomes going over. I didn't do either one of those rushes.
I had both of those. I only missed because the Chiefs won. I missed mine. I would have had mine at the 49ers one.
Yeah, and these locks are getting kind of hard for me at the moment. Only games that are out are basketball and hockey that I feel comfortable. So I'm going to jump into the future where the lines can change. So I'm going to be predicting basketball this week, and this game is going to be for Wednesday. I am going to have a lock of the Indiana Pacers minus 3.5 against the Toronto Raptors. The line did not change from yesterday. That is going to be my lock of the week. So we're going to roll into Bryce's
You
game.
could always do golf, too.
Yeah, I don't know how that's a lock in any world.
Jordan Spieth, top 10 would be my lock. That guy was playing great. Hoffman caught fire in the waste management, so he didn't actually win. But Jordan Spieth, top 10 of this next Open, would be my lock. So here's my game. You didn't see the picture, did you?
Nope.
All right. So this is kind of a confusing one. So just listen for a second. There is 8 teams in the NFL whose logo doesn't face right. So it's either facing left or it's centered.
Can you repeat the question or the thing?
What are the 8 teams whose logo does not face to the right? So they either face left or they're a centered logo and don't have a directional.
Is this NFL?
Yes.
Okay.
So 8 teams that they either go so if you're looking at the helmet, they go left or it's just centered.
Yes.
I
the
know.
logo.
I know one. Eagles.
The Eagles do go to the
Okay.
left. That is
The
one.
one I know.
Shit.
I
I would say the Commanders, Washington Commanders. I mean, because that's just a W.
I think the W technically
tilt.
angles to
Yeah.
the right.
What about the Browns? Because they don't have a logo.
Yeah, if they don't
The
have
Browns helmet is going to the right.
Huh?
Their helmet is facing the right.
I thought you said the logo.
Oh, I no.
I am
Okay,
saying
yeah, he's
their
using
logo is
he's
the
using the
helmet.
team. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant the logo on the helmet. I see. Okay,
No, it's the logo.
gotcha. That's tough.
Okay.
Cowboys.
The Cowboys is one. That's
Flat.
they have two.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers flag goes. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know which way it flies.
Yeah.
I think it flies to the left.
How about
I'm going. Go ahead, Roy.
what about the Vikings? With the horns go to the left. Would that be considered, or does it count? Does it go into?
They technically go to the right. They would be facing the right if it was on their head, basically. Like
horn
it's
goes
the
left. does
Yeah,
it?
no, the
it's
horn
not
go
their
left,
helmet, Roy.
but the face and
It's
everything is moving right.
I'm not talking about the helmets. I'm talking about the team's logo, which is a Viking
Yeah,
who faces to the right.
I'm going to say Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers are not one of them. Their
Damn,
flag
so-
does go.
So one strike. We have two left.
You
Don't.
two strikes, don't you? You said the Browns.
Dolphins.
I was asking about the Browns
Okay,
because
alright,
of
that's
the,
fine.
at that time I was thinking helmet.
Roy, you said Dolphins.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, that's good with me.
The Dolphins go to the right.
God
The
damn.
Dolphin is swimming to the right.
All right, so we have one. This
One
this is the worst one we've done, Roy. We're
This
not
is
good
a
at
tough one. I had to find a tough one because you guys were crushing me.
this. Okay,
Really think this out. I would tell you guys to go for the stagnant ones that aren't facing a direction.
Colts.
Colts is one of them. You have three.
Think of non animal or something like that. Think of like a plate or a logo, like just a something. The Seahawks go to the right. The Cardinals, no, the 49ers
Steelers.
are
No, they go.
49ers. It's just a name.
Yeah,
There's no way it goes in.
But the reads
Unless
it goes like 4-9. Doesn't it go like 4-9?
Yeah. Damn. This is. We're talking about numbers and shit going that way too.
How about the Texans?
Saints. No, I thought about the Texans. I think they go right. I think that bull or whatever you want to call it. What about the Saints? It's like a shield or whatever. The
Yeah. Go ahead.
Saints.
The Saints is one of them.
Tell me we got 4.
You have four.
4 of the
Yes.
8.
I mean,
You
we
have
have
four left.
four. Okay.
Green
I would
Bay.
tell you that all four of these are just stagnant logos. They don't go in a direction.
The arrowhead freaking goes right. Broncos.
What about the Patriot? Didn't he just stand there?
No, the Patriots guy goes right.
Does he?
You're thinking of the old logo.
one.
Yeah.
In the old.
The new one's just that the head with the thing behind it.
Jets. Well, no, because I guess they switch logos. So I
Yeah.
guess technically the Jets
Some of them
goes
have
right.
switched
Yeah.
logos. One of the teams on here has switched to this logo last year, actually.
Well, the Giants is NY.
Giants is on there. Well, no, because the Y is to the right. In Y. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Panthers, Bucks. Damn, I hate this game.
This is a tough one. I had to go with a hard one. You guys have been beating me up on
Jacksonville,
it.
the Jaguar. Is he?
No, he's going right. Jacksonville, Texans, Colts.
Cardinals.
Who's the other? I think the Cardinal looks right. The beak. Oh, how about the Bears? It's a literal letter. I don't know how one letter can go right.
The Bears are the team I was talking about that just changed their logo last year.
Oh yeah, to the regular bear.
They are a bear now. They're not a letter anymore, so
Oh.
they don't go right anymore.
It's not a
The letter,
C. I was
technically.
thinking C.
The C was it. They are the Bears.
You are okay, Bears. I guess. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bears.
They switched their logo last year to the bear as their main logo.
What about the Raiders? I mean, it's just the guy.
Oh,
The Raiders is
Yep.
another one. You have two left.
Broncos.
One of them you have already
Chargers.
said. Chargers is one of them.
Oh, we got one left.
We're down one more,
One more.
and we've already said him.
Yes.
Fuck. It could be the Giants. We said have letters. They go that way. Let's see. It could be the Texans, Roy. I don't know, but it could be.
How many strikes do we have?
We have
Two?
two. We got to get
You
it.
have to get this one.
This is it.
Texans. I don't know. Not the Ravens. They have a bird.
What's the
49ers.
What's
No,
the Falcons?
it's a F. It
Yeah.
goes right. I mean, technically.
Did we say the Panthers?
I said the Panthers, but I don't think it's the Panthers. They have a Jack or a Panther. He's
It's
got to be
not-
looking right.
I don't remember. I thought it was just the face.
The Texans. I don't know. I think the Texans is my best guess, Roy.
Just go with it.
Oh, wait.
Hold on.
Have we said the Green Bay Packers?
He said somebody we already said, and I haven't said Green Bay.
They have a G. Oh, I know. No. Yeah, I guess a G does.
It goes right.
Fuck, I thought I had it. Yeah, we can go Texans if you want, Roy. I don't know.
Go ahead.
Texans.
It is not the Texans. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's
Ah!
just the circle with the 3 stars in it.
I gotta look this damn. Whatever. Damn it.
So you're one off from getting it this time.
Yeah, we got closer, and I thought we were going
Yeah,
to
The
we
Texans
did.
has their Longhorn like
Yeah, tilted.
Tilted.
Yeah, see, and I can see it, but I didn't know. Okay, Roy, what's some old man wisdom for us?
All right, mine's pretty quick. It says old men, they don't think they get smarter as they get older, all right? We don't get smarter as we get older. We just run out of damn stupid shit to do. So
That's true.
always great old man.
I love it.
just new things. Trying to learn, you guys, get you educated for all this.
Mm-hmm. All right, I don't think we have anything else. I think that's
No?
going to do it. Next week, we will go over the 3 more teams, Cardinals, Chargers, and Giants, and we'll be doing the NL Central. Bryce's favorite team is in there. We'll get to say a little bit about how we truly feel. So I think that's all we have for us. Thanks for watching. Hit the like, subscribe, and share to your friend. Peace.
See ya.
Peace.